The UK's worst airport. Is it really that bad? Well, according to the Telegraph newspaper, this is the worst airport in the UK, and quite a few internet places say very, very similar. So the place that's been voted the worst, as you can see here, is Leeds Bradford Airport, which is the main airport in Yorkshire. And to give you a bit of a better understanding of what we're talking about, let me first explain a little bit about Leeds Bradford. It's actually centre to the UK, near the cities of Leeds and Bradford, just a little bit north of them. The airport itself has had a very varied history. It's been one of the oldest in the UK, starting in the 1930s. It's seen World War II planes being developed and flown from here. Probably one of the major things that is unusual about Leeds for such a small airport is the fact that it had the very first chartered Concorde landing at its airport. Concorde did fly from Leeds Bradford quite a bit in its history. So today I'm flying with Aer Lingus to Belfast City Airport, and I thought it's a very good opportunity to walk through the airport and just see what all the fuss is about. I have my own theories and I'll discuss them at the end of the video. Right, so just been through security. It took less than 5 minutes. Obviously got to have the Leeds Football Club stuff there. Currency exchange. Got a quite good view of the car park from here. So let's see what we've actually got. Well, there's a Burger King. The obligatory Camden food and shops and might come and have a look in there later. Even self-serviced checkouts for the perfumes, can't be bad. I've got some quite nice offers. Always amazes me, you come to places like that, who on earth is going to need a bag that big of sweets? Right, you're going on a flight, you're going on holiday. What's the first thing that you really need? Lego. Yeah. I can understand most of the rest of it, but to a degree. Then we get W.H. Smiths. For everything that you've forgotten that you thought you might need. Starbucks. And then we finally come to the noisy part, the airport lounge area and look at the queue for the food. And that's basically it. Cramped, like most airports. Never quite enough seating space, although they tell you to get here 2 hours in advance. And then the most expensive shops in the world, like every single airport in the country. But what I will give them, when I went through security, went through standard security, and it took 5 minutes. You went through on the fast pass and people were taking maybe a minute or two less, and that's all. So unlike Manchester, when I've been through Manchester, this one seemed to work quite well. It was organised, there was no shouting at people, you were just able to get on with it. One thing that you maybe wouldn't realise, and I certainly didn't, there is a downstairs. So when you're upstairs and there's absolutely no space, come down here and there's just that little bit more space, a little bit quieter, not quite as cramped. It's for gate 6 and above, but there's an escalator back up to 1 till 5 as well, so it just gives you a bit more space. It's not as much stuff here, but it's just that little bit quieter. Not a great deal, but a little bit. Well, I decided to have a little bit of breakfast. Looking at what was on offer, Burger King was the best option, to be honest. The other queues were ridiculous. So I've gone for the ultimate breakfast sandwich and a coffee, which cost me £7.99. So obviously dearer than what you'd get in a normal Burger King, but not excessive. So if you're wondering what you actually get in one of these ultimate breakfasts, there's a little bit of suspect bacon, some egg, and what's supposed to be sausage, but it's really just a burger shoved on top. Not very appetising, but better than nothing first thing in the morning. So I'm travelling with Aer Lingus, which I've never travelled with before. I arrived here about 6 o'clock, flight's about 8:30, so set off from home just after 5 o'clock. So it's a long day, not coming back until, well, I get back into the UK just before 7, I believe. So, let me have a breakfast and we'll see what the flight's like and hopefully give a good report on it.
So what's my experience of Leeds Bradford Airport, this supposedly really bad airport? Well, my experience was it did more than it should do, and it was more than suitable. But there were a couple of things that I'll come on to in a minute. My belief with regard to why it's got such a bad reputation at the moment is purely due to COVID. After COVID, when everybody started to go out flying and going to destinations across the globe again, Leeds Bradford had a severe shortage of staff. So security would take 2 hours plus to get through from the back of the queue. My experience on that day was 5 minutes, if that. I believe that problem has been solved, but I went on a normal work day, not a holiday date where the numbers would skyrocket. So I can only talk about that particular date. With regard to the reasons I feel that on top of that may be an issue, Leeds is an old airport and the space that it has within the airport for seating is low. It recently had an upgrade and modernisation of a lot of the airport, but the airport was never designed with enough space, and I think that's the biggest issue it has. Seating space for when you are waiting 2 hours for your flight. Everything else I can't see an issue with. So I believe that's the reason why it's got such a bad review, because of COVID and because of the actual number of seats that you can sit down on. Now, as you can see on the video, I'm just landing into Belfast at this point, and at the end of this I'm just going to show you a flyover of Belfast City Airport, and you'll see what I'm referring to. Belfast City Airport is a similar size to Leeds Bradford Airport. The difference being, when you fly over in a moment, that you'll notice it was designed as an airport. You can see that the runway is parallel to where everybody's parked, where the actual main building is, which is designed for people to go straight from there to the flights. Leeds Bradford was developed over years, and that is where I think their major problem is. It's an old airport, and there's nothing much they can do about that. What have you experienced with Leeds Bradford Airport? Tell me the good, the bad, the ugly in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, put a thumbs up. Show YouTube you liked it. And if you want to see more, do subscribe. YouTube loves that. Look forward to seeing you on the next video.